Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning over there in Europe, in Italy. And I'm very grateful to have many of you here, including Irene, who's very well known in this area of impact measurements. I'm Yanto Chandra from Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So this is a joint work with my co-authors, Liang Shang, who is also here, and also our dear friend, Johanna Meyer. Whom do not need to be introduced. He was one of the keynote. So we started this paper to offer a little understanding about the idea of open social innovation contests and how participants in those contests could succeed and could win. We started by understanding or providing a little bit of definition about social innovation. There are a lot of definitions for what social innovation is. In fact, the definition is still debatable in the literature, but at least we should have a starting point. And for that, we resorted to the definition by Fields et al. At the Stanford Social Innovation Review, which refers to novel innovation to social problems and something that is, more efficient, more effective. But the key part is that the value of this innovation will go to the society rather than a particular private individuals. And we all know that the field of social innovation, or at least the topic of social innovation, has received a lot of attention and interest, not only among scholars in the business field, but also those in healthcare. Some HIV are also looking at this, in social work, in design, geography, public admin, sociology, politics, etc. There has been some recent interest about open social innovation, particularly with the emergence of the coronavirus, of the pandemic. And for example, in Germany, we have seen the rise of we versus virus, which is some people call it hackathon, but it's actually an open social innovation contest in which hundreds of thousands of people will come up with a solution, participate in the competition, will submit it through the online platform, and everyone is trying to compete and outperform other competitors in order to provide a better solutions to tackle the particular problem, which is how to deal with coronavirus. But this is not the only one, but also there are many other similar contests that we have observed in the past, including contests to alleviate poverty, contests to come up with new ideas to tackle a particular health problems. So the idea of this open social innovation contest came about through a conceptual article by Henry Chesbrough, who was the father of open innovation. But when they studied open innovation, it was pretty much from the perspective of open innovation for the purpose of for-profit companies. But in 2014, they wrote a conceptual piece that talked about how we could understand open innovation for a social purpose. And that is perhaps the first concept or terminology for open social innovation was first coined. And so the key part of this, or the key essence or feature of this open social innovation is subjected to a competitive selection process. So there's a big role of competition there. And in fact, if you look at the literature on social innovation, very few people will look at social innovation from a competition angle or from a competition perspective. So competition is a key part, is a key perspective, but also it offers some prizes or some rewards if you happen to be the winners. And another key feature of open social innovation contest is that it's open for everyone, it's participatory, and it's also being used, and it's also very, very, very inclusive, in which all of the parties that you don't see working together normally would work together. Government, civil society, big companies, tech experts, they kind of will work together to come up with solutions. So what we observe in the field is there's a lot of studies that is looking at social innovation at the organizational level, but there are very few that are looking at social innovation from solutions level. And that's number one. Number two, there's very little studies that look at social innovation in terms of what makes them flourish or be successful, and why some other social innovation tends to be less successful. So there has been a gap in the literature in that sort of sense. Therefore, there's have been little research in terms of the study of the drivers of success at the solutions level. So the solutions level, we are looking at social innovation as a solution, like a particular equipment, a particular service. That's what we mean by solutions in the context of open social innovation contest. So we come up with this, or we phrase this research question: what factors explain success of social innovation solutions in open social innovation contests? So the open social innovation contest is the context of our study. We started with doing some literature review about what could drive or what could explain success in open social innovation contests. We identified 4 central factors that could potentially explain success in this contest. The first is the role of networks. So by Chesbrough and others, and also actually a lot of studies in entrepreneurship and also in innovation have identified that your ability to networks, to access the resources, actually, to access the expertise of your external partners are very important for your success in your innovation. So we thought that in the context of entrepreneurship, for-profit entrepreneurship, also for-profit innovation, the idea that networks with corporations could help. We kind of borrow that into our study context. So we said, well, maybe these networks could help explain success in OSI contests. The second is the commercial orientation. There's been a lot of studies in commercial innovation. Commercial innovation studies have found out that having a commercial orientation will really help you succeed in doing your innovation. So we're hoping to borrow this literature published in Organization Science and AMJ to see whether commercial orientation could also explain success in open social innovation contests. The third one is the concept of usefulness. Because not all innovation is useful, it gives us the impression or the idea that maybe the innovative things that people create or social innovators create, some will be more useful than others. So we thought maybe something that is useful, some social innovation that is useful, could be more likely to succeed in open social innovation contests. And the fourth one is innovativeness. This comes from some papers in like journal marketing, like Chandra and Tallis, that have tried to understand and measure innovativeness, to try to understand like maybe if something is more innovative, it's more likely to succeed in the marketplace. It's going to be better accepted by stakeholders, by consumers, etc. So that was our starting point. In terms of the methodology, we look at a social innovation, open social innovation contest that was hosted by eBay and Ashoka Changemakers. So this is a database that we are using. It's called Powering Economic Opportunity. So this particular contest is focusing on poverty alleviation. So all forms of social innovation, whether they're launched by nonprofits, they're launched by companies, or they're launched by social enterprises. Actually, we cited a reference that defines social innovation in that sense. So it's not a form of innovation that comes up from a particular sector, but it can come from any sector, so long as it's socially innovative and it has a social value. And in that database, we have 871 entries or participants that was entered into this contest, and they're spread across 83 countries. And we randomly selected 150 of them, 150 social innovation solutions. And 15 of them are actual winners, in which 5 of them are the winners who get the prize, and 10 are finalists. So we call 15 actual winners, and the rest, which are 135, are non-winners. So they joined or they participated, but they didn't get anything. So we wanted to see, whether there's any differences later. So how we studied this, we created a 2-page vignette for each of these social innovation projects using the publicly available information. Our study information was the project information that was submitted by the contestant in this contest. So because in order to participate, you need to submit like a 2 or 3 or 4 page of information about your mission, your approach, your impact, your partners. So there's a lot of information on the things that we are trying to study there. But we didn't stop there. We also went to the social media, look at the LinkedIn page of the founders and the projects, the websites, and a lot of information we could find. And we, in the team, we created a 2-page vignette to best represent the things that we want to capture, such as their mission, their strategy, their partners, their outcome in terms of social and financial. And then we engaged 2 external independent raters. One of them was a director of a large impact investing company based in Canada, and the other was a well-known international scholar in social innovation. Both of them, who don't know each other, rated each of the social innovation projects. So because we have 100, if I'm not mistaken, we have 150, yes? So we have some overlap between the two. So we can calculate the inter-rater reliability, which means that we want to ensure that what each of the rater classify as more successful should converge, which means that they should have more or less similar ideas about which of these social innovation entries or projects are more successful or less successful. So 2 of them conducted this. We do it in a Qualtrics environment, so they have a scale that they can rate. So they're shown each of these two-page vignette, and they will scale them, they'll rate them, things like that. So our inter-rater reliability between the 2 raters were pretty good. Nearly 80% of the time they agree whether a particular social innovation projects are more successful or less successful, and they give a score, actual numerical score. So this is the descriptive results. Most of the social innovation solutions in our study were well-established projects, about 97%, and only some of them are sort of prototype. And the majority of them, which is 78%, have only one founder. And most of the solutions had developed some networks with big corporations, about 80%. And many of them have commercial orientation. We can know that through the information in the entries that they provide, and also through additional information that we provided in the vignette. And over half of the social innovators have prior business experience, which is 67%. So we can tell roughly this descriptive information. So we're trying to test our model. So basically what we are trying to do is to see whether networks with corporations and the commercial orientation could explain usefulness of this solution and the innovativeness of the solution, and whether this usefulness and innovation could explain success being a social innovation. So this is the diagrams of the model that we had, and we collected data from the raters, right? So the raters help us rate them and provide the data with us. So this is the analysis that we did. So we can see that the direct path of the networks to the success and commercial orientation to success were actually not significant. So there's no direct effect for these 2, but they have an indirect effect from network cooperation. So if you are able to network with corporation, you are able to produce more useful, you're more likely to be able to produce more useful social innovation. If you have a useful social innovation, you're more likely to be successful in the competition, in the contest. And if you have a commercial orientation, you're more likely to be more innovative, because I think you have more resources to do this. And with that, you are able to achieve more success. So this is also positive and significant. So in terms of the results, so we found a positive role of networks with cooperation with innovation, social innovation success, and also a positive role of commercial orientation with social innovation success. So networks has a positive relationship with usefulness, and commercial orientation has positive relationship with usefulness and innovativeness. After adding the 2 mediators, the effect of networks with corporation and commercial orientation on social success become non-significant. And we also found that having more men in the founding team had a positive and significant influence on social innovation success, on usefulness and innovativeness. And we also found that having founding members with a higher educational value has a positive relationship with usefulness. So this is what we found. So to bring it to a closure, this is a first attempt to examine the drivers of success in social innovation solution in contests, and to demonstrate the importance of several factors in driving success in open social innovation contests. We found in particular networks with and having resources from powerful corporations are very important for the success of a social innovation solution, and a conscious effort to embrace commercial orientation is also important. We highlight this because there is some sort of presumption among other scholars or practitioners in social innovation that a social innovation, because its primary purpose is to create social value, it does not have to have any income. It does not have to have any ways to generate resources or revenue. But we found that among those that are the winners, or those who are more successful, they always have commercial orientation, have a very strong commercial orientation. They have a different ways to generate revenues. And we also found that the development of social innovation that are useful and that are novel are very important for success. And we also found the positive influence of demographic variables such as gender, particularly male, and education on social innovation. We're not saying that everyone should have all male, but this is just one study of one particular data set on poverty alleviation contest. So the study is still exploratory and relies on cross-sectional data from a single open social innovation contest, and this opens up new research direction to focus more on competition and success as a variable of interest in social innovation research. And it also unravels the patterns associated with social innovation success, which could be helpful for social innovators in driving and creating solutions. For example, if you want to be more successful, if you're able to connect or draw resources from some big corporations, that will help a lot. And thinking about how you could make your social innovation to be more resourceful, to be sustainable, and be useful and be innovative. And this also could pave the way for future comparative studies of different open social innovation contests across time, space, problem. Because actually, social innovation contest is a phenomenon that is very contextual. Right? It happens across a particular space, particular time. Like for example, we versus virus in Germany, which is a contest for finding solutions for how we could improve our life and tackle some solutions in the community using all kind of digital tools. It happens in a particular time during the coronavirus period, in a particular place in Germany, focusing on particular problems. So it may not generalize across all kind of sort of problems. I guess I stop there and very happy to pass the stage to the moderator.